All right, it's time to close out another week here. It's Friday, June 19th. You're listening to the Daily Briefing, which comes to you Monday through Friday in the 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8 p.m. hours on KLAM and KCDV, and then archived for later listening or sharing with folks out of town, perhaps, if you like. You can go to youtube.com/Cordova TV to accomplish that. Mayor Koplin is with us, and we'll get into that conversation now on the Clam and the Eagle. Mayor Koplin, nice to be coming to the end of another week here in our response. Geez, this is the end of week 15, I think. For starters, has there been anything new in the way of response or developments to the news about that second case?
You know, in one regard, very little really. I think we're just taking it in stride. The protocols that we've put in place have worked, and I just think the interesting thing is that our medical team again got out in front of this. They recognized the turnaround time and sending him to the state was provided unwelcome opportunities for spread, and so they stepped up and just started applying those locally, and as a result, they caught a positive case very likely several days sooner than they would have otherwise. So it's, the credits to them.
All right, so taking it in stride, meaning it still seems like the plans are working the way people wanted them to then. Exactly,
and by taking it in stride, it didn't feel like the belly punch it did the first time, because we recognize that this, if we manage this properly, it could very well have the same outcome. That we identified a case through our screening, isolated it very quickly. They had a chance to recover, and it'll stand alone as a one positive case.
Well, we certainly hope that ends up being the case. I mean, taking it in stride doesn't include not having any good thoughts for the person that is sick and hoping they don't end up having any trouble or anybody around them. But in terms of how well the plan is working and the community being protected, it does seem to be positive. What about the communications that you have with other folks like the governor, our U.S. senators? What are those conversations been like?
It's a really tribute, I think, to our senators and our leadership that both Senator Murkowski and Sullivan reached out to me, gave me their cell phone numbers, told them please get in contact with them immediately and directly if we needed anything or had any problems, and to keep them updated. So when we found the new positive case, I just reached out and said, hey, we caught another case with the screening, and it looks like we've got it under control, and our plan is working. And I think Senator Murkowski's response is really the way I feel right at this point. Once again, Cordova is demonstrating that strong protocols work. Thank you. So that says several things.
So is that a quote from something she emailed or texted to you then?
Yeah, that I'm quoting. Senator Murkowski texted back, and I quote, "Once again, Cordova is demonstrating that strong protocols work. Thank you," unquote.
Yeah. All right, that's good. And did you hear back from Dan Sullivan also?
I did. Senator Sullivan texted me back this morning and said that was great news, that our plan is working, and again, reach out to him if we need any assistance.
Well, and you had some good feedback from we talked about it a little yesterday, but if anybody missed it, what was the you part of the Coast Guard event?
Yeah, so the Coast Guard had their changing of the command here on our local buoy tender, much like Jay Barris on the news last night had their change of command. And it's the first that Admiral Bell for our District 17 in Alaska has traveled out of Juneau since February. So he really appreciated the protocols he saw at our airport, was able to get testing there. He and his accompanying staff, as they worked around the community to see such high levels of care with people wearing masks and sanitation. And then, of course, on board the vessel, they had really good protocols in place. But he was really impressed at the level of, response that Cordova had as compared to, Juneau, for example, and their airport. And then the Commissioner of Fish and Game, Commissioner Douglas Vincent Lang, and the Director of Commercial Fisheries, Sam Raybung, they came in to see how the fishery was progressing here on the Copper River Delta and Prince William Sound. And they commented, too, that we just having that testing available, administered by one of our health professionals at the airport as people get off the plane, is they really feel good about their fish and game staff who work portable jobs, come and go from Prince William Sound, and they said they could only wish that the other communities had those levels of convenience and accessibility, and also the good protocols in place on the ground here. So pretty much resounding feedback that what we're doing is working. And the flip side of that, of course, is that we need to muster our resources and our patience to continue doing it.
Well, it's interesting. We talked earlier about we're coming to the end of another week here, but also the end of the 15th week of Cordova's response, which kind of has a benchmark feel to it, I guess. What do you, as you look back on that, having to participate so actively, obviously, in the response as mayor and as a member of the IMT, how do you reflect on things so far?
I think there's been a lot of concern about mandating things that are uncomfortable or maybe even unwelcome. Certainly not part of our normal patterns. And, I agree. I believe in personal freedoms, and I like to have the flexibility to make my own personal choices. However, and there's been a lot of discussion about fear and the fear response, but I think, that means different things to different people. As a manager of a company, my fear is not so much for my own personal health, it's that of the employees and their families, and making sure that in the same way I would hate to see someone get injured or worse in an accident, preventable accident in the workplace. I don't want them getting unnecessarily sick or spreading something to their families in a way that they can't get the medical services or recover from it. So in short, as I look back as a member of the incident team, fear means different things to different people, and it means different things at different times. There's a lot we didn't know about this virus back in March, and I think the response was very appropriate, and we didn't want to overwhelm the medical community. So this is just my personal perspective. I know that we're doing a lot to appreciate our medical workers, and very appropriately, but that's a choice they make. They know, in the same way that someone serves in the military, that you are going to face danger at times. You're putting yourself in a situation to be injured or worse, and that's what makes those jobs so appreciated. So for our part, we say, well, what can we do to appreciate our medical workers? That's where we get back to why are we doing these things that are uncomfortable? Why are we wearing masks? Why are we washing our hands and so forth? To me, that's the real way to appreciate our medical workers. I don't want to have so many cases unnecessarily flooding a hospital because we can't follow some protocols that we know work, that they have to make life and death choices about their friends and neighbors in the community, who to take off and a respirator or a ventilator, and who to put on one, knowing that it may not matter anyway. Those are difficult choices. And remember, these things I've learned it's very physically engaged. Installing a ventilator is not something you do from 6 feet away. That's something you have to physically, basically cram down someone's throat. And a lot of our medical workers are themselves at risk or work with professionals that are at risk. So when you take all that into context, I think the best way that I can show appreciation to our healthcare workers is by following these mandates. And from our discussion today, we see that they work, and that's the real reason to be following these. And that's why we've taken that approach as a city and as our incident team. We're not going to tell people what they have to do. We're going to explain why it's the right thing to do, give them the tools to do it, and it's worked.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I think back, too, to the earliest days and how confusing everything was at not only, at any kind of a local level, but, the national and the international level, and great big bodies of experts unable to agree on things like whether to wear masks or not, whether this was even going to be, whether this particular virus was going to be a problem or not. It was chaotic in the early going, but things do seem to be kind of settling into a groove, so I guess to go back and judge a response now based on how people were responding 15 weeks ago, everything has to kind of be in context, is what I feel like I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. It's the old hindsight's 2020. We can look back and second guess now, but we're in a different place with a different perspective.
Sure. Not to mention, in theory, a lot more protective equipment, a lot more hospital capacity. I haven't seen the numbers on that, but that's the sense I've gotten from when we've talked with Dr. Sanders and seen Dr. Zink accompany the governor on those briefings that they do. It's not the same landscape, even for the medical people now, that it was all that time ago. So hopefully we can't relax and to the point that we don't wash the hands and wear the mask and do that kind of thing. But, we can have some more confidence in the resources that are available, I guess. Anything else as we wrap up the week here?
No, I think you just summarized it really well. We know enough about the virus to know how to slow the spread. We have the tools to manage it if, when we do have upticks and recognize more cases. And all we have to do is continue to follow those good practices, distancing, sanitation, and wearing the facial coverings. Well,
we'll take that into the weekend then and get together on Monday and see how things look. I hope you have a good couple of days, and thanks again for participating with us here.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, another visit with Mayor Koplin as we conclude another week of daily briefings here on KLAM and KCDV. Remember, you've got the 424 info line that you can call if you want to get information on resources or get answers to questions regarding Cordova's response. Even leave some comments about that if you would like. 424-WELL has a recorded message that's updated with the latest information. And then, of course, COVID19.cityofcordova.net, the official website of the city with a great big buffet of COVID-19 response information if you want to check that out. Daily briefings continue Monday through Friday in the 1, 5, and 8 p.m. hours on the radio and archived on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cordova TV. I'm J.R. Lewis. Glad you were able to join us for this, and we will get your regular programming back underway on the Clam and the Eagle.